What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another uniform review video. So we've got two new uniforms, and I'm going to be going over both of them in this video instead of separating them into two videos, just because there is not much to go over for these uniforms. So I guess first we'll go ahead and look at Cyclops' new uniform here. So we have Cyclops Marvel Now uniform. I do like the look of the uniform, I will say that, but the uniform doesn't do too much for Cyclops outside of changing his leadership. So basically what you're going to get with this uniform is it's going to enhance the effects of the ambient radiation and also the natural born leader. So basically all you're going to be getting is the enhancement to the 4-star passive, which is going to buff his energy attack for all allies, to 15%, which is exactly the same as his Age of Apocalypse uniform. He gets the exact same boost to the passive right here, as you can see. And then the change to the leadership is it's going to increase from 25% all attack to 35% all attack. So you get an extra 10% all attack basically with this uniform for the entire team from the leadership. And then it's going to change one skill, and that is going to be his 4th skill. So we'll go ahead and hop in and actually see what that one skill change actually looks like. But as you will see shortly, I don't know, I'm not too impressed with the uniform overall, especially when you compare it to his Age of Apocalypse uniform. So the only change is this 4th skill right here, which you're definitely going to get more AoE with this skill, but I don't really think it's going to do more damage than the 4th skill on his Age of Apocalypse uniform. So it's not too impressive to me. And also, the other change is going to be that Cyclops, of course, is still going to be a superhero with this uniform instead of a super villain with the other uniform here. So this uniform, like I said, changes him to a super villain, which can be useful for Shadowland, and it's still just fine for if you're using him as a leader in Extreme Alliance battle, because it doesn't really matter if they're a villain or hero. But yeah, this uniform is still at the normal uniform price, so the 750 crystals, and then this is the premium, which is going to be 1050 crystals. And honestly, I don't see the reason to get this uniform, especially if you already have this uniform here. Basically, this uniform seems like it's only going to be targeted to the Extreme Alliance battle players to get that extra 10% leadership, because having the premium stats on the uniforms for Cyclops doesn't really going to help your score in Extreme Alliance battle, just the leadership. So, I mean, this uniform to me doesn't really seem like it has a use too much in it, except for the people that want to be really competitive in Extreme Alliance battle. So I would definitely pass on this uniform, especially if you already have the Age of Apocalypse uniform. So I don't really have any plans to buy this uniform. If you don't have a uniform at all for Cyclops, I probably might have picked up this uniform if I didn't have his Age of Apocalypse, because I do like the look of this uniform a little bit better than his Age of Apocalypse, but that would have been the only reason. The uniforms themselves don't seem to offer too much variation in terms of how well Cyclops will play or do in the game overall. So now we'll go ahead and move on to Wolverine here. So Wolverine's new uniform, I will say, again, I really like the look of the uniform. The uniform aesthetically looks really nice. I definitely like the look of this uniform. But, yeah, it's another uniform where I don't really see too much of a point to it. So, the uniform bonus is going to give him a 10% ignore defense, which is actually nice, because I have noticed that I did have to put 1 or 2 ignore defense Uru on my Wolverine just to get to the cap, or the 50%, so that 10% might have helped me to not have to use any Uru, so I could kind of see why they did that. But personally, I like the decrease all damage received by 15% a little bit more, so that's definitely a more attractive option on his Age of Apocalypse uniform. And then also, the only skill change is going to be the X-Slash. It does say skill change to Berserker Rage, but that is just from his base stat form, or his base form right here, without any uniform. It is going to be the exact same 5th skill as the Age of Apocalypse uniform. Alright, then if we go ahead and jump in, just so we can see the actual skill change itself, you'll notice that it is the same, and then of course the 3rd skill is changed from his base form just to have a few extra slashes in it, it looks like. So here's the 5th skill, as you can see, exactly the same. And yep, there we go. And then the third skill is the only one that has changed. And then you just get a little extra damage there at the end, as you can see, more AoE. So in terms of comparing the two uniforms, I actually think that the Age of Apocalypse uniform is better than this new uniform, in terms of the skills and in terms of just the uniform like itself, but I like the look of this uniform more. So if I had no uniform for my Wolverine right now, I would buy this uniform for sure, because they're the same price and I like the way this one looks better. So that I would get for sure. But in terms of Extreme Alliance Battle, if you do care about that, I honestly think the Age of Apocalypse uniform is better for Extreme Alliance Battle if you're using a CTP for sure. Because it will help, because the third skill on the Age of Apocalypse uniform helps you to avoid the Frost Beast so you don't get snared. But if you have a immune to snare obelisk, then I think either of these uniforms should score pretty much exactly the same. I can't really see too much of a difference in damage between them. So yeah, again, it's another uniform that I don't think is very necessary, except for the aesthetic changes. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on these two uniforms. I definitely think that both of them are going to be passes, especially if you have their previous uniforms. If not, I mean, pick them up if you like the character, but they mainly seem focused for at least Cyclops, Extreme Alliance Battle. Wolverine here, I guess they had to have had Extreme Alliance Battle in mind, but I don't really see how it is much better than the other uniforms. So yeah, not much to say here. I think I've rambled on enough about these uniforms. Yeah, so hopefully that helps in deciding if you're going to pick up these uniforms for yourself. And of course I will. Catch you in the next one.